You've just come across a nosy Nelly and they've asked you a question that you just don't even feel comfortable answering. That's what you have often experienced, right? Maybe they've asked you about when you're going to get married, when you're going to have children, maybe why you don't look like the rest of your siblings. So today we're going to be tackling the tricky situation that I'm sure we all have found ourselves in. And that's how to handle those tricky, awkward questions that often catch us off guard, but in an elegant, classy, and poised way. If you're new here, you may not know, my name is Nicole Davies. I've been on a level up journey the last couple of years, and I've been loving coming here and sharing not only what I have learned, but learning from you as well, because many of you have left me so many insightful comments that it just champions me to get better and continuing leveling up. So thank you. But today I really wanted to talk to you all about this because I had a really tricky situation just last week where someone asked a question and it completely caught me off guard. So whether it be a curious friend or a family member or even a total stranger, knowing how to respond with grace is key. So let's dive into what you should do when someone asks you a nosy question. Tip number 1, pause and assess the situation. My first tip involves pressing pause, stepping back, and assessing the situation. And this is so we can understand the bigger picture. When hit with a nosy question, pause for a moment and try to decipher the intention behind this question and consider the context. Is it coming from genuine interest or is it potentially crossing boundaries? This quick assessment allows you to respond appropriately and navigate the situation smoothly. If I was completely honest with you, boundaries would be my middle name. Which leads me into tip number 2, set boundaries. So as we're moving on into tip number 2, how do we establish boundaries? If you're uncomfortable with this question, it's probably because your boundary and your boundaries are quite lax. But here's the thing that I need you to know. It is absolutely okay to set boundaries. I love using this analogy for my husband. We have 2 dogs and they're not afraid to set boundaries with one another. And they don't take it as a personal offense when one of them sets a boundary with the other one. They respect the boundary and then they move on. So now that we've quickly established that it's perfectly okay to set boundaries, how can you do so? What do you need to say? Well, simply, you can decline to answer and you can simply say something like, I'm sorry, but that's actually not something that I'd like to discuss. I think we live in a world of people pleasers, and I do think that sometimes when you say no or you say something as straightforward and honest as that, it does kind of catch people off guard. And remember, you don't need to justify yourself. Politeness preserves relationships while safeguarding your comfort. Tip number 3, and I absolutely love this one, and it is the art. And I do say art of redirection. If you're not keen on answering a nosy question, redirect the conversation to a safer topic. You could respond with something like, that's an interesting question. By the way, have you checked out any great movies lately? Or are you reading any good books? I think when you say it quite flippantly, like, that's a great question, and you quickly move on and change the topic, it feels like you've just had a thought come up in your head and you're quickly pivoting. If that feels too abrasive for you or too hard of a pivot, you can pivot to something that is somewhat complimentary. So perhaps somebody asked you when you're going to have children. You could say, that's an interesting question. By the way, have you seen the new school that just opened up around the corner? Do you see how it's somewhat related, but you're massively pivoting and you can take the conversation in the direction that you wish for it to go? This is the art of redirection. And the best part of this is it keeps the dialogue flowing while steering it away from uncomfortable territory. Tip number 4, keep it simple. Simplicity is the art of sophistication. And really, with this tip number 4, you're going to want to emphasize simplicity in your response. Should you choose to answer, keep your response concise and straightforward. There's no need to provide elaborate details or share more than you're comfortable with. For example, if you're asked about your finances, a simple, "I prefer not to discuss my finances," gets your point across without divulging more than you want to. Again, you can say that and then combine it with the art of redirection and say, "I prefer not to discuss my finances, but have you seen that new mall that is opened up? Do you see? Have fun with this." Keep it lighthearted. I find the lightheartedness is what saves the offense, and you shouldn't have to keep things lighthearted in regards to be respected. However, if it is one of those tricky situations where you're really not wanting to offend somebody or have it come across in a wrong way, you do need to learn to navigate these situations with poise, with elegance, with class, but in a smooth way so it doesn't cause a further problem down the line. I'm actually going to be sharing a bit more about this over on my podcast. I get a bit more personal over there, and I would love if you joined me. The link will be in the description box down below. And tip number 5 is all about honesty. Honesty truly is the best policy. When the situation allows, consider being honest with the questioner. Have you ever thought of that? I find that this really works in intimate relationships, and you can share with the questioner that the question that they've just asked has made you feel a little bit uncomfortable and you'd rather not delve into it. This not only opens up communication and helps to set clear boundaries, but it can also strengthen the relationship in the long run. So there you have it. My 5 tips that are essential when it comes to handling nosy questions with elegance and with a little bit of social finesse. By pausing and assessing, setting boundaries, redirecting, keeping it simple, and by being honest, you'll navigate these tricky situations like a pro. Remember, this isn't about shutting people down. It's about honoring your comfort and maintaining respect. If you have found these tips helpful, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe. And if you are a pro at this already and you navigate these situations like an elegant lady or a dapper gent, we'd love to hear from you in the comment section. If you're in the process of leveling up like I am, I hope this serves as a reminder that you've got the power to handle anything gracefully. Stay confident and stay classy, my friends.